Okay,
Okay, let's start.
let's go live. Yeah, we are live. Hello everyone, I am Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Skill Horizon Next Gen YouTube channel. And as you already know, we are running ServiceNow Bootcamp. So I have Kunal with me. Welcome Kunal on the platform.
Thanks, Sanjay.
Okay, so till now, two sessions are already done, and I hope if you are following the sessions, so you started implementing. And just wanted to share one information like soon we are going to start ServiceNow job readiness programs, which will help you to upskill yourself and you can find some jobs in ServiceNow ecosystem. So that is why we are doing this bootcamp so that you can get familiar with ServiceNow. And once you're good with that and you want to do some projects and you want to do detailed learning with some instructor, so mostly sessions will be Kunal will be taking all the sessions. So if you want to upskill yourself and you want to become job ready, so we will be running those programs. So we'll share those information soon. So you can visit the website here. All the course curriculum and details are available. Okay, so I think with this note we can start today's session. So Kunal will be giving you the recap, like what we have done so far, and then we'll
Mhm.
proceed further. Over to you.
Thanks, Sanjay. So up till now, we have covered multiple things. We introduced you to ServiceNow, how it works as a platform, and how it grew and how it has become a big, big company, enterprise savior, you would say. And then we went into technical side. The last session, second session, we created a new application. We created tables in that. I'll just take you to that page. So we created a new application, which was student support. It is a scoped application. And then we went on to create a table in it, which was student request. And then we created few records in it. We went and modified the form layout as to how this would look. We created some drop-down options. We created calculated field, and we created reference field, and we created some reference qualifiers on this field. So up till now, if you have covered, if you have heard and followed everything that we did, you are in a situation that you can create a new application, tables on it, and create some small uh, just database, just that you can save the data that you have and view it, and you have your CRUD interface ready. We have added this all to our menu where the table opens up. We modified the list layout so that we have all the information that we need on our fingertips. Now we'll begin. Now we have already created the form layout, right? Now this seems very simple layout, right? But what if I didn't want to see this calculated field until and unless urgency is high? I don't want to see this field because that doesn't make sense for me. Calculated field should only be visible if the urgency is high. Now, these kind of decisions, they are made using UI policies, and they help you in controlling the field visibility and even making them mandatory or not. We'll start with that and we'll create a small demo. We just discussed that this field should only be visible if the urgency is medium. If not, it should be hidden. Let's do that. As usual, whatever you want to do in ServiceNow, there is a quick way to do it. Go to the gray bar, right click, configure UI policies. There are no UI policies for this table, and we'll create one. New, short description. We can actually hide these blue boxes. We'll let the page load. and the should technically include on high urgency. And we'll define the condition, which is urgency is high. Now, this was the default option when it came to operator. There are multiple ways of handling this. You could say it's not high, is one of, for example, I could choose high or low, is not one of, I just want to say if it is not medium, do anything. Contains, that is, if you remember SQL queries, that is like as you use in SQL. Start with, end with, does not contain, is anything, same as calculated field, is different from calculated field. So you have multiple options. For now, we'll stick with the urgency is high. We'll save it. And the moment we save it, we have some additional options here. And those are called UI policy action. What we're trying to say is that this is a policy, which is if on this form, if in case urgency is high, do these things. So we'll create a new action. We will use calculated field and we will say visible true. And that is it. And because it says reverse if false, that means if it is not high, it will do exactly opposite of the action that we decided. Let's go back to our form student. I'll control click to open this in new tab. Go there. And that field is not visible. But the moment I make it high, that shows up. If I change it to anything else, it just comes back. Start filtering, but yeah, you could change two attributes. One is mandatory visibility. Let's go back to that action. Mandatory visibility and read only. For example, I wanted, let's create another policy, right? On this same policy, we will make some other field as mandatory. So we will make priority comment as mandatory. True, and that's it. This is always visible. The only difference is for now, it is not a mandatory field, right? But if I were to refresh this page, it will be mandatory only if the urgency is high. And it becomes star. So if I were to delete this, it will not let me save the form. Exactly. It is now this field and this field are dependent on this field. Now, the good thing about UI policy is that you did not have to write any code for this. This is point and click development, and it helps even system administrators to make these changes and kind of make development without writing any code. What else? Now, client scripts. Now, what we did was no code behavior, but at the same time, we can also use client scripts, JavaScript, and how it will work. We'll come back to that. We will close this window because we don't need this anymore. And on this form, let's refresh it. So now what I want to do is that the moment someone changes email address, I want to make sure that it contains example in the text. If not, I will show an error saying that email address does not belong to our organization and you need to go back. So we'll go to configure and client scripts. Client script because these scripts run on the client, that is on the browser side. validate email to contain example. We will choose UI to be both desktop service portal in both cases. Type is on change. So you can actually choose multiple triggers. One is on load, that will be when the form is loaded. On submit, that is when someone tries to save or submit the form. And on change is when a value in a field changes. So what for now, we're doing it on change and we are doing it on email. And we will start writing here. If variable email text is equal to G underscore form. Now, some of these will not make sense because we haven't covered the JavaScript side. But for now, you can understand what is happening. What we've done is that we are trying to get an email text from G form class, and we are trying to get the value of field, which is email. And we will say if email text index of example is less than 0, we will throw an error message that email entered does not contain example. And that is it, else nothing. We can do many things. We can prevent submission if this was on submit, but for now, we will simply show an error. So we will delete this and make it gmail.com. And the moment we exit, moment the input field is blurred, it will check this does not contain example. So I'll go back and put an example and everything is okay with the code. These concepts we are covering very shallow because there's a lot to be covered and we are just covering an overview of things how work. For more details, either we can cover later or maybe in the job readiness program, we'll cover it there. Now we did both UI policy and client script, and the major difference, as I told you, is the UI policy is a lot simpler and there's no code involved. And even someone who does not have experience with JavaScript or any language can actually do it by point and click. But the client script is something that you need to write code for. And why platforms like Salesforce and ServiceNow prefer that you use point and click development is that because you used their platform to create this policy. Now, ServiceNow is responsible to make sure that this does not break when they upgrade the platform. But the moment you start writing your code, now it is your technical debt, and you need to make sure that when the next versions comes in, and if ServiceNow deprecates any API that you've used, then you need to go back and make those changes to make sure that that client script that you made still works in the next version. This is end of our module 1, where we discussed basics of creating a new application, tables, policies, forms, list view, and everything related to that. Next, we already covered this. And right, so now the idea is we have covered multiple things in this module. Now, that's really important, and we keep repeating this, is that if you really want to learn, if you really want to understand how ServiceNow works, the only way to do is you get so hand dirty, go get yourself a PDI, personal developer instance, repeat what we did, do more, break it, make it, and break it again. The more you break, the more you realize what are the mistakes that you cannot do when you are actually working for a client. Now, before we go ahead, there are a few tools that I use, and I think people who want to get into ServiceNow should have. One is a browser extension. It is known as SN Utils, ServiceNow Utils. But the thing is, it was not developed by ServiceNow. It is developed by a person who works in ServiceNow, but it is an open source extension. It is available for Firefox and Chrome derivative browsers. So if you install it, there are multiple things that makes things lot easier for you. For example, when you are on this form, and if you want to look what are the field names, because what you see here are labels. So you just go to the white area of a form and double click, and it will show you the field name, email. It will show you the table name, exact uh, the technical name. It will give you versions which ServiceNow does not provide out of the box. So it kind of makes things lot easier for a developer or an administrator if you have this. For example, if I want to see all the information stored on this record, I could use slash command, and SN utils work with slash command. Slash is the keyboard slash, and you click on the gray bar and press slash. It will open this pop-up window, and I just want to see the XML of this record. I'll click on this. It will open. It did not open. No, that's fine. It should have opened, but sometime. So if I want to see, sure. Yeah, now it does. So this is the exact technical information that is stored in the database. This is the table name. The approver field is empty. The calculated field value is this. Now it will show even the values which are not on the form. And this is only available to admins, so kind of safe. And there are multiple things that you could do with that plugin. For example, if you want to impersonate someone, you can impersonate, and I would search for Abraham Lincoln, and it will give me an option to impersonate with that person. But yeah, this SN Util is a great plugin for anybody who wants to start with ServiceNow. It is ServiceNow product tool. It is not affiliated to ServiceNow, but this person definitely works with ServiceNow. Another thing is not a tool, but it's more of experience that people like us who have almost a decade in the industry. And what I want people who are starting out to understand is that uh, good developer and great developers, they both often have the same technical knowledge. What makes a developer a great developer is to understand how business works. For example, if someone asks you to create a form and you were just to create that form without understanding why they wanted that form, you did your job, but you never increase the value of the automation behind it, right? Now, ServiceNow started, if I covered this in session one also, ServiceNow started with automation of request process, the ITSM. Someone wanted to create a new ticket and someone has to follow up with the tickets, create tasks for it. And that was it. That was a very small thing, but they did it right because they knew how this was a pain point for business across the world. Now, if you can identify a pain point in an organization and automate it, that is what makes you a very good developer, and that will give you growth beyond your understanding. So if you want to grow quickly, it's not just a technical knowledge, it is also knowledge of how businesses work. If you were to join a company and the moment you enter, they have to onboard you, right? So how can someone make that process a simpler process? Sanjay and I both worked at Salesforce, right? Surprisingly, Salesforce uses Workday, right? Workday
Workday
as
as
onboarding
onboarding
tool,
tool.
or
Or
is
is
it
it
Traction?
Traction?
I
I
don't
don't
remember.
remember. Yeah, that
But
company.
yeah,
Yeah, not Salesforce. It was different company. Yeah.
Traction,
Traction,
right?
right? Yeah.
So
So
even
even
those companies who develop on Salesforce, who are themselves giants of creating applications, even they went and sought a tool which was working. Why? Because it's easy. And for business, it's just about automating process in the simplest form. So if you know how to do that, you are golden. Okay, let's get back to technicalities. So right now we talked about onboarding process, right? So now imagine you have onboarded someone, someone has joined the company, and they want things to start with. If they are in office, they would need a desk. If they're working from home, they would need a laptop. If they've been working for some time, they forgot their password, they need to reset their password. So this is what ITSM is all about. And this is where ServiceNow started and still shines brighter than any other competitor in this industry. And let's cover two topics. One is catalog and other is catalog item. We will go directly to the interface where we can see this in working. So it is /sp. It is known as service portal, and it is for people to request things. So this is a non-technical UI. What we have been seeing is a technical side, or you could call it backend, and this is the front end. So these are where non-admins in ServiceNow come and request something. So what you see on the screen is, for example, you have an option to request something, or you have an option to go through articles that have been written by people in your company, or you can ask for help, right? So we will request something. I need some hardware, I need a mobile phone, and it gives me the option, right? Now, what you see here is that this is a catalog, right? This is hardware catalog, and you are in the mobiles category of that catalog. You can choose any phone. And you can order it. It looks very similar to if you were to buy this off Amazon or Flipkart. But the difference is you don't pay here. This goes through a process of approval. If I were to order this, someone who is my manager or their manager or someone in HR, whoever decide in the subsequent workflow, they decide whether this user is eligible to order an iPhone 13. You can add a price, you can make it zero. That is not the point. But the point is, service catalog looks very similar to buying from an e-commerce place. And this is not just for hardware. We can go back to service catalog and ask for something very, very simple. For example, if we can ask for application account access to Adobe Acrobat, and I don't even know what these sites are. But for example, standard changes, we can ask for replace business to printer toner. For example, you are manager of a particular branch and it needs a new toner. So you create a request here, and this request will go through the process and someone will approve, and order would be placed to an outer company, I guess, and who will bring the toner to your branch. Now that we have understood, we'll go back to our PPT. So that was catalog, which was collections of catalog items. And a catalog items very similar to when you order something of Amazon, but it is not limited to hardware. It can be a service. It could be a facility request asking, okay, my floor is very dirty. Can someone come and clean it? Or this broke, someone broke the table. Can someone come and fix it? Catalog process flow goes through mainly 5 steps. And the first is catalog submission. That's wrong spelling, but yeah, user submits a form and puts some details. They select what they need. They provide some additional details. If you remember on this, you can actually ask questions to the user as to what is that they need. Okay, there is no option here. Let me choose a different. Right. Is it a replacement for a lost or broken iPhone? Choose the color. Now, why are these questions important? Now, imagine that your company did not have this option, and you go and say, okay, I need this iPhone. So they will say, okay, send an email. You send an email saying, please provision an iPhone for me. And they come back, okay, did you have an iPhone before this? You will say, no, I did not have it. And this is the first time that I'm asking for it. And then they'll say, what is the amount of data loss that you need? And so on. This could mean multiple email exchanges. But if you can somehow ask this question before they submit and before they order something, you already have the information. And people who need to make the call, make the decision, they know everything even before they look at your request. What happens after is a bit technical. So when you submit a request or submit an order, there are three tables that get records in it. The first one is request. It is also known as REQ table, which is short for request. Every request, for example, you could add multiple items to your cart and then make order. In that case, there would be one request and multiple requested items. So if in your cart you had iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro, and a laptop, so you would have one request, but three items in it. That will be iPhone, and a laptop. Once these are created, based on the workflow, a flow inside ServiceNow will decide who gets to decide it. So there could be multiple tasks created inside ServiceNow. They could be of type approval, or they could be of type where someone actually has to go and do something. For example, if you were to ask someone to come and fix your table, then it would create a task for facilities team to go and look at the table and fix it. And if any approvals are required, for example, if you are order an iPhone, but you do not have clearance for that, you can only buy a Samsung Galaxy phone. So someone will reject it saying you do not have that authority. Go back and order a Samsung Galaxy phone. Once you have the approval, it will go through the fulfillment channel. And if it requires shipping, it will be shipped to you. If it's just a processing of request, that will be done. Once that is done, all tasks, remember these are inverse order as this one. So first of all, tasks would be closed. And once all tasks are closed, items will automatically close. And once all our items are closed, the request is closed. We do have some time. So what we'll do is we'll create a new catalog item and try and order something from it. So where does ServiceNow maintain its item? Literally, the shortcut is called maintain items. So we'll create that, and we will create a new catalog item here. We will name it the form as uploaded. Request a new car. Let's say car. We will add this to a catalog, and we'll choose, sorry, service catalog, and we will choose a category. Let us see if we can find something that links to us. And let's set to facilities. All right, we'll add some description. Order a new company car. We will add price as $1,000, and the user has to pay a monthly basis of $100 as a upkeep or insurance or whatever it may be. Right, we will save this form, and once we save this, some additional UI will come up, and those will be the, if you remember when we selected iPhone, we had multiple questions that pop up before, after the request. Those are technically called as variables. So we will add a new variable. Variable essentially are just fields on the form. So we want it to be a single line text, and the question would be, do you have a preferred brand? If yes, mention the name, right? It will automatically come up with the name. We can keep that, or you could change it. And we can also put in an example text. So we can say you can order a Suzuki, you can order a Jeep, or you can order a Tata car. Right? And we'll make this mandatory because we need this information to process this request. We'll submit this, and we will also create a drop-down option for the user to select, and that will be a select box, a number approximate my kilometers running expected, and we'll save this. Once we save, the choices option will appear below, and we'll add some choices to it. So we will say 1,000 or less. I would say less than 1,000. Actually, this should be less than 1,000 kilometers. And we'll make it 1,000 the value. Value does not necessarily need to match the text. 1,000, 2,000 kilometers. 2,000. We will make the order as 200 so that it appears below. And the third option would be more than 2,000 kilometers. And we'll just make it 3,000. And we will save this form. And we will go back to the catalog item. And we see that we have two variables here. Now, if we were to submit this, let's see if it shows up. We'll save this and we'll go back to the front end, the service portal site, refresh the page, and search if we can find this. The moment you search, it will search in knowledge bases and catalogs, but we just need it from catalog. And it did not show up. Why it did not show up? Okay. Categories facility, catalog is service catalog. Category is correct. Catalog is also correct. Available is also correct. Let's add a few more categories to be sure that. Mhm. Yeah. So now we have a request to new car. I can click on this. And it asks me the same question that we asked it to ask. So I need a Jeep car and I expect it to run less than 1,000 kilometers. I can click on order now. But we have not defined what happens when someone clicks on order now. And that is what we will do now. We go to the process engine and execution is set to default. So it has something specified, but we could change it to a flow or create a workflow and do it. So we'll stick with the default and we'll submit the form. So I'll just submit. Now, when I submit, it asks, are you ordering it for yourself or are you asking someone else to receive it? So let's say we want to order it for Angelo Ferenc and check out. That's it. The form has been submitted. Now you have a request record and it starts with REQ and the request number is 10003. Now it even shows you what is happening with this request. You see request approval pending has not started. It will go through 4 steps. Request approval, access a scope task, provide services, and complete it. Now, where will these things happen? It will happen on the backend side. So we would go to requests, open request, if you can find that. Yeah. So this is the one that we created. Now, if you this is the due date, we can actually add the created here. Created. We can even see which one was created when. So just hover over a date time and it will tell you when this was created. It was created a minute ago. So we'll open this record, the request record. All the information that we put are present on this form. The request number is 10003. It was open at this moment. It was opened by system administrator, but the request was on behalf of Angelo, and the price is $1,000. Now, if you remember, I said that for every request, there would be request items because a request can contain multiple items that are ordered. So on this, we have an R item or requested item. We'll open this in a new tab. And this will contain further information from this particular form. On the top, everything is very similar to what we saw on the request. But here, if you see, it says variables. So I put in that I needed a Jeep, and I said that I would be using it less than 1,000 kilometers. So these are not fields on this table. And why are they not? Because, well, if you were to create so many fields for each different catalog item, you would have a table which could have thousands or maybe 1,500 different fields. In place, what ServiceNow does is that these variables are stored in a very different table. And whenever you open this form view, it will just pick the responses from the user and give you this interface, right? Now, if you see, it has two tasks. One is the software and field service. These are weird because we chose the wrong workflow for this, but we'll just stick with it and we'll approve both these tasks. Let's run both in new tabs and go to those tasks. Now, the approval is not yet requested. We could request it, but we'll just approve it and we'll change the state to closed complete, saying that this particular task has been completed already. And we will save this, right click, save, and this is closed complete. We'll go to the second task, approved and closed complete, and save. Now, if you remember on a slide, what we saw was that first tasks are closed. So we have closed both the tasks. It became because we opened that one. And moment we close both the tasks, both are closed, we'll close this window and we'll go to the R item. And we will refresh the form. And we'll see that both these tasks they have an end time, which means they are closed. And because both of these were closed, it automatically closed the R item on which they were based. The R item state also goes to close complete. And if as a user, I would go to my request record and refresh this, it will show me that everything that need to be done has been done. It was approved, it was scoped, service was provided, and this ticket has been closed from the provider side. And that ends the workflow on this request. So a whole process that could have taken multiple emails was done through the system. And what we saw and used was an out-of-box workflow, but we can define that workflow. We can define who gets which task and how and rejection or approval on each task affect the outcome on the request. We already done this. And that kind of we conclude our session today. What we have done today is that we created a new catalog item, went through how it works, and gave you a demo, how it goes through and how end user experiences this flow and how a fulfiller on the backend side works through the process.
Sanjay,
Sanjay, over to you
yeah.
now.
Okay, I think we covered a lot in these three sessions. So, like, what will be the next topics? Like, we have different modules in the upcoming sessions.
Right. So we have covered catalog items, and next would be something very important to ServiceNow, that is CMDB, our configuration management database. So apart from ITSM, the workflow that we saw, there's another thing which makes ServiceNow a very big play in this industry, and that is CMDB. And what that mean is, let's take example of very big company like Coca-Cola. They have several 100,000 members in their team, and each member has a device with them, maybe a laptop, maybe a phone, maybe a printer. Now, when you order something, that is still property of your company, right? And ServiceNow allows you to track those devices in real time. How does that do? That is done is through CMDB. So CMDB is configuration management database. And in this parlance, in this language, configuration item can be any asset that a company has. It could be a laptop, it could be a cell phone, it could be a printer, and it could be a license, for example, a Jira license, or maybe a Office 365 license, or it could be a server node on AWS. Anything that company wants to track can be stored in this database. How this works and how complicated the system is, but somehow it is very user friendly, and how, for example, a big company like Coca-Cola will have actually have 30, 40 people just managing this database inside ServiceNow. We'll go through that. And once that is done, we will come to reporting, I think. And there's one more topic I keep forgetting. Give me one moment. I'll just for my notes. I have it somewhere. So that will be reporting. And yeah. Oh, yeah. One thing I forgot. If you remember when we were on the service portal and we had this knowledge base. So this is the next step after catalog item. How can you create knowledge articles and how can you publish it on ServiceNow so that people, end users who, for example, are ordering something or they are raising an issue, they could be helped by not creating a ticket and asking them, can you go and read this? For example, they're requesting to reset their password. So before submission, we could say, do you know you could do it yourself without creating a ticket? And you show them this article. So that this knowledge management is one part. Then comes CMDB, then comes reporting, and then we'll take a small stab at how application update sets work and how applications are packaged and how they are sent for certification. Somewhere around the line, we'll just skim over the basics since that is not something an administrator would do. But yeah, they should know how that works.
Okay, perfect. I think it will be very interesting topic. So you already shared the basic platform understanding. So I think
Mhm.
now those who are following these sessions, they will be able to pick it up.
They should, yeah.
Okay, yep. So thank you for sharing the knowledge in today's session. So we'll have another session next week. So next week also we'll be having two sessions. So
Yeah,
I think in this month we'll be able to cover up all the admin related thing, and
yeah,
next month we can start the development part.
yeah, we can do that.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
viewers.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. So we'll
Bye
see
bye.
you next week. Thank you.